Now, Mary and John are an ordinary young couple. One day they decided to go out of town and spend some time in nature, so they jumped in the car. While they were driving, they suddenly saw 4 hitchhiking people at a gas station. But most of them looked pretty suspicious. There was a man in tattered clothes, a woman wearing a cape, a man with a sullen face, and a teenage girl. Who should they give the ride to? Look, the woman in a cape doesn't cast a shadow. She must be a vampire. The man with the sullen face has a vampire bite on his neck, so he's now a vampire too. The teenage girl has suspicious claws, so she must be a werewolf. Thus, the man in tattered clothes is the only one who doesn't seem to be dangerous. There's a huge crime spree happening in town. The police are swarmed, and they don't have enough officers to help everyone. The citizens need you. Buckle up and think fast. You have to catch all the criminals right away. Look at the screen and find all the suspicious people in town. There are only 2 of them, actually. First off, look at this lady. Why would she wear 3 wristwatches at the same time? These must be stolen. And since she has no bag or pockets, she had to put them all on her wrist. Next, there's this bearded man. Seems like he's got a lot of jewelry hidden in his beard. Oh, that's a weird construction. Paula and Jeremy have been married for 5 years already. They had a perfect relationship and everything was great. One day, Jeremy had to leave for a business trip for a week. However, he came back home unexpectedly 2 days later. Paula instantly realized that it wasn't Jeremy and called the police. Remember the real Jeremy who took off the wedding ring before he left for a business trip? The man who showed up 2 days later was wearing one. This is what made Paula suspicious. During an Arctic expedition, an explorer found an ice cave. He went in. Suddenly, the entrance got blocked by a small avalanche. Luckily, there were 3 other passages in the cave. But here's the catch. Each passage has a warning sign for the explorers. It says that the first passage leads to a group of Yeti, the second one leads to a huge group of mammoths, and the third one leads to hungry bears. Which passage should our explorer choose? Those warning signs must be a bit outdated. Mammoths went extinct long ago, so passage 2 must be the safest option. A young man woke up in a hospital without remembering anything, including his own name. Beside his bed, there were 3 men, each of them claiming to be this young man's brother. Suddenly, the young man had a couple of flashbacks from his childhood, and he clearly remembered that he only had one brother. Who is his real brother? The man on the right seems to be his brother. He's the only one who looks like the guy in the bed, plus they have matching tattoos on their arms. Martin's an undercover detective. He's on a mission right now, and he's pretending to be one of the staff members at a luxurious resort. His mission is to follow a dangerous criminal who's planning to steal a rare piece of art from a wealthy businessman. Martin has to report the situation to his partner Steve every day. They can't use phones to communicate, so they make codes using deck chairs and umbrellas. If the robbery isn't planned for today, there should be more deck chairs than umbrellas by the pool. If the robbery is planned for today, there should be more umbrellas. Today, Steve's flying in a helicopter over the pool to check the situation. Now, look at what you see and decide whether the robbery is planned for today or not. Yes, the robbery is planned for today. There are 5 umbrellas and only 4 deck chairs. Jessica has a twin sister, Allison. Their relationship is far from perfect, and Allison always plays mean tricks on Jessica. Today is the prom, and Jessica has 3 nice dresses to choose from: a green one, a blue one, and a pink one. But when she opened her wardrobe, she saw it was a terrible mess. That must have been another nasty prank from Allison. So, what dress should Jessica wear? She should wear the pink dress. A button on the blue dress is about to come off. Oops. And the green one was spoiled with paint by Allison. Alright, a couple of short riddles to give you a break. Ready? There's something all the people in this world do simultaneously. Disclaimer, it's not about breathing. So what is it? All the people are getting older simultaneously. Are they getting any wiser? Don't know about that. There's one thing that can fly with no wings and cry even without eyes. What is it? It's a cloud. What can you see with your eyes closed? It's a dream. Okay, enough with the easy short riddles. Let's go back to hardcore mode. Emily and Mary are putting on their makeup, getting ready to go out and have fun. They use pretty much the same things. Phones look similar, the same with lipsticks, clothes, and everything else. So, who's poor? Take a closer look at Emily. Her dress kind of gives her away, since it's an obvious knockoff. A green apple costs $1, a red one costs $2, and a blue one costs $3. What apples and how many of them did Frank buy, if we know he spent $3 and 2 bills only? Frank bought a green one and a red one. He gave a $1 bill for the green one and a $2 bill for the red one. Yeah, he could have grabbed the blue one and given the same 2 bills, but blue apples just don't exist. 3 Fen, also pronounced 3 friends, fell asleep under a tree in the countryside. While they were resting, a guy passing by painted mustaches on their faces. Once the men woke up, they started to laugh. But then, all of a sudden, they stopped. Why? Well, at first, they saw the mustaches on their friends' faces and found it funny. But then, they realized their friends were laughing too. It meant that they had mustaches on their faces as well. Aunt Jean is a huge fan of cats. She lives in a 1-story house. She has cat garden statues, a cat rug, cat wallpapers, cat cushions, and even on the fridge there are cat photos. Not to mention all 30 cats that live in her house. What painting is there upstairs? She lives in a 1-story house, so there are no cat paintings upstairs. It's right next to the fridge. Anthony, the financial director of a big company, finally persuaded new partners to sign a super important agreement. He then put this document into a folder and left it on the table in his office. When he arrived at work the next morning, the folder was gone. John gathered all the employees who were in the office at that time and asked them if they had noticed anything weird. The cleaning lady said that she had been busy washing the floor and hadn't paid attention to anything around. The designer explained that he hadn't left his working place even once. What's more, being an artist, he didn't have any interest in agreement documents. The accountant admitted that he had entered John's office to have some documents signed, but once he noticed there was no one inside, he immediately left. So, who took the folder with the agreement? It was the designer. John never mentioned that the folder was gone. He just asked if they had noticed anything weird. How would he know that the missing folder had an agreement inside? Grounds for dismissal, I'd say.
Hey, my dear detective! I've got a portion of new head-scratching riddles. Are you ready? Then buckle up! A foreign tourist came to a police station. He said, "A guy with a tattoo and a long beard forced me to give him my wallet." The police officer told him, "Don't worry, the criminal is one of these quintuplets. They've already been arrested. You just have to identify the one who attacked you." Look at these men. Can you help the tourist figure out who the attacker was? Not this guy. He has a tattoo on his left arm. Not this one. He can only use one hand. This guy has a short beard. This guy is wearing a cast, which leaves us with this man. Now, I've got a few Rebus puzzles for you to crack. How hard can it be? This Rebus is tasty. It stands for scrambled eggs. How about this one? It means misunderstanding between friends. What could this mean? It's downtown. You're walking through the park when you hear footsteps behind your back, and everything goes black. When you come to your senses, you find yourself in a dark basement illuminated by 15 burning candles.
"I'll set you free if you solve my riddle correctly. But if not, you won't ever leave this place."
Oh no, there's someone in the shadows.
"You see 15 candles. I'll blow out 6 of them. How many candles will remain?"
What's going to be your answer? If you tell the mysterious person that 6 candles will remain, they'll let you go. After all, the rest of the candles will eventually burn down completely, all but the 6 which have been blown out. Someone stole expensive jewelry from Mrs. Doris's hotel room. It happened around 6 a.m. When the police came, the hotel owner told them that there was a heavy snowfall early in the morning. It destroyed all the evidence. Suddenly, one of the police officers spotted an infamous criminal. He had been accused of committing several robberies, but always managed to get away with it. The man denied being at the hotel at the time.
"I only came half an hour ago,"
he claimed. The police officers immediately understood he was lying. How? There's a thick layer of snow on the criminal's car. If he had been driving to the hotel, there would be no snow on the hood. It would have melted or got blown away by the wind. And since it's sunny now, it can't be new snow. Clara was in her hotel room when she heard someone knock on her door. She looked through the peephole and saw an unknown man standing outside. He introduced himself. "Hi, I'm the hotel manager. Sorry to bother you, but our database has crashed. Could you let me in to confirm some information?" Clara immediately rushed to her phone and called the security. Why? The badge on the man's shirt says Chloe Smith, and that's a female name, which means the man is a fake manager. Damien had problems with money, That's why he had to sell the only valuable thing he had, an expensive painting of a 17th century artist. The man who bought it showed the canvas to his friend, a police detective. After looking at the picture attentively, the detective said that the painting was a fake. How did he figure it out? There are electric power lines in the picture, but they didn't exist in the 17th century. Now, look at these teachers. Can you figure out which of them is a millionaire? A, B, or C? Ha! Tricked ya! It's actually not a riddle, but a mini psychological test. If you decided that teacher A is a millionaire, you're amazingly energetic. You're also spontaneous and always ready to explore new places. If your choice was teacher B, big noisy parties aren't for you. They can leave you emotionally drained. And if you thought the millionaire was teacher C, you're a social butterfly and the soul of any party. So, how true is this? Tell me in the comments below.
Yeah.
Detective Thomas went camping with his friends. At one point, he went to get some firewood. When he got back, he saw one of his friends, Alice, lying on the ground unconscious. There were 3 other people in the camp: Julie, Alice's friend, Mary, Alice's sister, and Adam, Alice's boyfriend. Thomas asked all of them to show him their belongings. Look at their stuff and try to figure out who has something to do with the state Alice is in. It's Julie. If you look attentively, you'll notice a picture of Adam among her things. She must have a crush on him. She likely hurt Alice out of jealousy. Eve went on an expedition to Antarctica with a group of scientists. 3 days into the expedition, Eve woke up and found out that all of her colleagues were missing. The only thing she found was an envelope. Inside, there was a letter. Apparently, a crazy scientist had taken her friends, and now Eve could only save them by cracking his riddles. Here's the first one. How many months have 28 days? The number you'll get is the number of feet you'll need to walk before you start digging. Eve knew the correct answer. All 12 months have 28 days. She walked 12 feet and started digging. The next clue was waiting for her there. It was a bag with a book, a can of paint, a screwdriver, and a note that said that the scientist had locked Eve's friends in his lab in a cave. It didn't take Eve long to find the cave, but there were 4 entrances leading inside. Passage 1 was guarded by venomous spiders. Passage 2 had a huge and pretty aggressive monkey blocking the entrance. In Passage 3, Eve saw a mammoth. And at the entrance to Passage 4, there was a bottomless well. Which tunnel should Eve choose? The third one. Mammoths have been extinct for thousands of years, so the animal the girl sees is likely a hologram. Eve entered the lab and saw a dog inside, but it wasn't a regular dog, it was a robot dog. Barking, it ran after Eve. The girl remembered she had a book, a can of paint, and a screwdriver in the bag she had found. What can she use to get rid of the robot? Eve should open the can with paint and throw it at the robot. Since the paint is liquid, it will likely cause the robo-dog to short-circuit. Eve breathed out in relief and started looking around. Suddenly, she saw a key on the floor. The girl picked it up and went to the next room. As soon as she walked in, the door closed behind her back, and a bizarre-sounding voice started to speak.
In 15 minutes, toxic gas will fill the room. Your only chance to survive is to take the antidote before the gas is released.
At this moment, Eve spotted a small box. She opened it and saw 4 pills and an instruction.
Take 4 pills, one every 15 minutes.
Will Eve have time to take all the pills before the gas fills the room? Yes, absolutely. The first 15 minutes will start after she takes the first pill, so taking 4 pills will take her 45 minutes. Eve got out of the room and finally found her friends, all tied up. She immediately set them free, but they needed to get out of there as soon as possible. They saw 3 doors leading outside. Behind the first door, there were hungry polar bears. Behind the second door, the air was so cold it was impossible to survive there. And behind the third door, there was a waist-deep lake with piranhas. Which way should the friends choose? The third one. The lab is in an ice cave, remember? The water in the lake will be frozen. They will simply walk on the ice and get out of the cave. Freedom! Brittany works in a secret agency specializing in defense against dark magic. She has to hire one person with psychic abilities. There are 3 applicants for this position. One of them doesn't have any supernatural powers. Can you guess who? Take a look at the third guy. He doesn't make the ball levitate. It's tied to a transparent cord. Why would he use this trick if he has real powers? Brittany gets a task to collaborate with an anti-zombie department. First of all, she has to sort some documents. Can you spot any fake zombies in this picture? This one with a walkie-talkie. She's probably an undercover agent. What about this picture? Which zombie is the agent? This guy is flying a drone, so he's not a real zombie. Let's take a look at the next picture. Which zombie is a woman? This one. She's the only one wearing a bra. At lunch, Brittany's coworker Kyle tells her an interesting story. One day, my old friend Dave was trying out a new trick. He jumped from his garage roof. Unfortunately, he landed badly and broke his leg. But the very next day, Dave was walking in a park. He was all right. How come? See this detail? Dave is a robot, so they were able to repair him in just one day. Suddenly, Brittany receives a call. A crying woman says, "Hi, I'm Nina. I took our sons out of town to my parents for the week, but someone attacked my husband, Charles. I rushed back as soon as he called me." Brittany arrives at the crime scene and questions 3 suspects. Lauren, the maid, says, "I was cleaning the house all day long. I was so tired that I went to bed early." Xavier, the gardener, says, "I was busy in the garden. When I went home for dinner, Charles was fine." And Bob, the cook, says,
"I did not leave the kitchen at all. Charles only gave me 2 hours to make dinner for the whole family."
Brittany spots a liar right away. What about you? It's the cook. Charles wouldn't ask him to make dinner for the whole family because Nina and the sons were out of town. The next morning, Brittany enters her office and sees an anxious lady, Wendy. "Please help me. A week ago, my boyfriend Dan turned into a werewolf and bit me. I don't feel well. I think I need an antidote." Brittany takes a look at Wendy and confirms that she has a werewolf bite. She questions where Dan can possibly be. "I bet he's hiding at one of his besties' apartments, Cody or Barry." Brittany checks their social media and finds these 2 pictures. Only one of these guys is living alone. Can you spot who? Cody has 2 toothbrushes. Therefore, Barry is living alone. Brittany goes to Cody's home to interrogate him. She asks, "When was the last time you saw Dan?" He replies,
7 days ago, we had dinner at my place and played video games all night. The next morning, he left and hasn't called me since.
"Oh really? Did you spot anything weird about him?"
Nope, just an ordinary night. Why are you asking? Did something happen?
After hearing his answer, Brittany knows exactly that Cody is a liar. Why? Take a look at the window. It's the 3rd quarter phase of the moon. Therefore, 7 days ago, there was a full moon, and Dan should have turned into a werewolf. Cody is okay, therefore he's probably a werewolf too. After work, Brittany takes a walk in the park and gets lost. There, she meets 3 people. The lady says,
I'm gonna take you to the nearest bus station if you guess which one of these guys is my boyfriend.
"Can you help Brittany?" The guy on the right is her boyfriend. She's wearing his jacket. Brittany goes to her grandma. She lives in an apartment building. Unfortunately, she finds her grandma crying. Turns out someone stole all her money. Brittany rushes across the hall. Maybe someone saw something. She sees an open door. The neighbor inside is trying to deal with a huge rain puddle under an open window. Brittany asks him if he heard anything. The neighbor said he had been home for about an hour and didn't hear anything. Brittany calls the police and tells them the neighbor was really suspicious. Why? That neighbor obviously lied. If he had really been home for an hour, he would have closed the window ages ago to avoid the puddle. Nellie and Kelly have a night shift in a 24-hour supermarket at the local mall. They need to restock some food. To do so, they have to walk to the warehouse through a dark and empty mall. At 3 a.m., they discover that someone stole all the money from the cash register. Brittany arrives and asks the ladies just one question. "What were you doing when the robbery took place?" Nellie says,
I went to the warehouse to get more cookies. It took 15 minutes to find the right box. When I came back, the cash was already gone.
And Kelly says,
I'd already finished restocking my section, so I decided to go out of the supermarket and do a little shopping in the mall.
"Who's the thief?" Kelly, the robbery took place at night, so all the other shops were closed. Brittany turns on the corporate laptop and finds out that someone had changed the password. Luckily, she finds a note with a clue nearby. She enters the number, but it doesn't work. Can you crack the password? She should literally enter 3 7s and 2 8s. Brittany gets a task to visit the most spooky abandoned town in the country. Can you count the number of zombies in this area? $11. What about this location? There are 13 zombies. Early in the morning, Brittany is waiting for her train in the subway. She's eating an apple she always has for breakfast. Suddenly, Brittany sees a homeless man yelling random words.
Pig, human, chicken.
Brittany gets mad and approaches him to stop that. Why are you so rude? But he ignores her and just yells, Apple! Why is Brittany so terrified? The homeless guy was able to tell what people last ate. He said, "Human," to the second man. Brittany gets a message from work. Her task is to check the local gym and find an imposter from another planet. Can you help her? This lady. Humans don't have zippers on their skin, do they? Brittany catches the guest from another planet. Her name is Stella. Brittany offers to have a smoothie in the local cafe and talk. Can you spot 10 differences between these two shelves with beverages? Here they are. Stella invites Brittany on a trip to a secret town for creatures that have superpowers. Brittany agrees and they hit the road. But to get there, they must cross the border. The guard demands a password. Can you help Brittany crack the code? They should literally count the number of dogs, roses, and lanterns in this area. So the code is 263. Finally, they arrive at the secret town. Stella invites Brittany to her favorite tea house. They take 2 pictures. Can you spot 10 differences between them? Voila! Suddenly, Brittany hears a scream. Staff members found their boss, Miss Young, unconscious in the backyard of the tea house. Someone pushed her from the balcony. Brittany suspects that the criminal is among the waiters. Can you spot this person? Miss Young grabbed the attacker's hair and ripped off a flower. This lady doesn't wear any flowers in her hair. Therefore, she did it. Brittany has to go home. But unfortunately, her phone goes crazy and shows her this maze instead of regular directions. Can you spot the right route? Only option A will bring Brittany home. A beauty contest is taking place in the city. Melanie wins and gets her beauty queen crown. After the contest, a cleaning lady finds Melanie lying unconscious backstage. The detective arrives at the crime scene in 20 minutes. He asks the suspects just one question.
What were you doing within the last 20 minutes?
Holly, the rival, says,
I was taking selfies with my boyfriend.
Steve, the photographer, says, I was taking pictures of the contestants. Mr. Bold, the judge, says,
I was talking to my wife.
And the cleaning lady, Stella, says, I just found Melanie and called 911 right away. And then I just stayed with her until the doctor's arrival. Who's lying? Steve. There's Melanie in his pictures. Therefore, he couldn't have taken them within the last 20 minutes. Bella comes on a famous TV show for money. Her last task is to put her hand in one of 3 tanks. There are gold bars in each of them. She's allowed to get them if she can. One tank is filled with boiling water, and the second one with acid that will burn any flesh. And the third tank is filled with venomous scorpions. Which tank should Bella put her hand in? Bella should just wait until the boiled water cools off and use the first tank. James is walking in the woods. Suddenly, he spots a leprechaun. James grabs the creature and asks him, Where's your gold? Answer me now! The leprechaun says,
It's under this tree. Just let me go.
James replies, I don't have a shovel. I have to go home. But how can I find this place later? James comes up with an idea. He ties a red ribbon over the tree to recognize it among the others. And then James makes the leprechaun swear not to take off the ribbon. But the leprechaun finds a way to hide his gold from James without breaking the oath. What did he do? He tied a red ribbon on every tree in this forest. Tricky leprechauns. Holly and Sally prepare a new prank. They go to school at 5 a.m. and sneak into the classroom. Suddenly, they see a bat turning into their biology teacher. They spend all day staring at her. Is there any proof that she's a vampire? Take a look at her coat. She's hiding a very peculiar object in her pocket. Let's take a closer look at this group of people. One of the ladies is kidnapped. Can you guess who? It's the lady on the right. If the left lady was kidnapped, she wouldn't have had a handbag with her. Megan arrives from work and finds out that her cat is missing.
She must have sneaked out from the window.
Megan goes around the neighborhood and questions 3 possible witnesses. Molly says,
I've just arrived from work. I didn't see any cats on the way.
Mrs. Darling says,
I already have 15 cats. Why do I need yours?
Victor says, I'm allergic to most animals, so I've never had any pets. And I don't know how to help you. Who's lying? Victor. There are cat footprints in his garden leading to a pet door on his porch. So he obviously has a pet. 4 people in Halloween costumes robbed a bank. But eventually, they get caught and arrested the same night. One of them is only 12 years old. Can you guess who? This guy. His hands are too small for these handcuffs. Which lady is richer? The lady on the right. Her name is engraved on a handbag, and another woman is proudly wearing it. On Monday afternoon, students find their math teacher unconscious in the classroom. Someone attacked him during the lunch break. The police suspect that the criminal is one of the students. Can you spot this person? The teacher grabbed the attacker's shirt and ripped it. This guy doesn't wear a shirt. Therefore, he's a criminal. James and Molly have been married for 5 years, but they haven't taken a vacation yet. Finally, they decide to go to the ocean. To get there, they have to cross the border. The guard says, you have to tell me the password if you want to pass. Can you help them crack the password? You should literally count the number of benches, trees, and apples in this area. So the code is 471. Dan and Sam are hanging out on a beach. Dan plays volleyball and then goes to a beach cafe to have some drinks. Dan tries his coconut. Soon after that, he feels sick and faints. Sam calls 911 and they take Dan to the hospital. The policeman questions 3 suspects. Sam says, he drank a coconut from this cafe and felt sick. I think the waiter poisoned him. The waiter says, why would I do that? Dan played volleyball before coming here and won the game. Perhaps his opponent decided to get revenge. And Kyle, the opponent, replies, we finished the game and I went swimming in the sea. Who poisoned Dan? Take a look at the score. Dan lost the game. Therefore, the waiter lied about his winning to frame Kyle. Sheila is taking a boat trip, but not all passengers are humans. Can you spot who's not? Take a look at the broomstick. It's levitating. She's a witch. It's a sunny Sunday morning. Gia and her daughter Lizzy are watching TV. According to the forecast, it will be a rainy and windy day today. Gia says,
Lizzy, please don't go outside today. You may catch a cold.
Gia goes shopping and leaves Lizzy home alone. She comes back in about 2 hours. It was raining, and Gia immediately realizes that Lizzy did go outside. How did she know? Someone moved the umbrella. Kelly arrives at a hotel where she booked a room. The manager says that she can choose a room. There are 4 available options. Can you help Kelly make the right choice? There's a stinky dump behind the window in the first room. As for the second room, there's someone watching through this painting. And there's a zombie in the closet in the 4th room. So Kelly should stay in the 3rd room. Jack is a successful lawyer. He has a small country house where he lives alone. Once he goes on a business trip, 5 days later he gets home and discovers that someone has entered his office. His enemies must have searched it. How did he know? Someone lowered his chair. Stella goes to her favorite cafeteria to have lunch. She can choose one of 3 combos. But she's allergic to seafood, all green vegetables, and all red berries. Can you help her choose the safest option? First of all, let's exclude the 3rd lunch. There are shrimp swimming in this soup. The chicken burrito combo looks good, but the dessert contains red berries. So, Stella should choose the lasagna. Lisa breaks her phone and goes to the service center. There, she meets 3 workers. One of them is an imposter. Can you guess who? This first guy. He's using a regular fork to repair the device. Peter is walking in a garden. He takes some pretty pictures of the full moon. Suddenly, someone pushes him from behind and he faints. After a while, Peter wakes up in a creepy basement. A mysterious voice says that Peter can escape through one of these 3 doors. There are multiple wolves behind the first door. They haven't been eating for 2 years, so they're very hungry and angry. There's a forest full of venomous monsters behind the second door. They hate humankind, and it's impossible to get through them alive. And there's a creepy werewolf waiting behind the 3rd door. Which way is more or less safe? Room 2 is a bad idea. It's a full moon. So room 3 is also unsafe. Therefore, Peter should choose the first door. Wolves can't survive without food for 2 years. Wendy is preparing a college project in a co-working space. She leaves her laptop on the table and goes to the bathroom. Then she returns and finds out that her laptop is gone. Who stole it? It's the lady on the right. Her hoodie pocket has an odd square shape. Claire is a famous treasure hunter. She gets an anonymous message with a clue leading to the rarest and most precious diamond in the world. Can you help her choose the right route? Only option C will bring her to the treasures. Claire arrives at the final destination and sees a high tower by the ocean. She enters and searches the space. There are multiple boxes and ancient scrolls everywhere. Can you see any clues leading to the treasure? Take a look at the runes on the boxes. In fact, they're mirrored regular letters. She needs this box because it literally says, treasure. Claire spots the right box. Now she needs a 5-digit password to open it. There's a clue attached to the box. Can you help her crack the code? To solve this mystery, we need to count the number of intersection points. And the code is 3254. Claire opens the box and finds a huge pink diamond. Suddenly, a fire starts in the tower. She has a few minutes to escape. There are 3 windows. The first one leads to a field with venomous snakes. The second one leads through boiling lava. And there's a huge tank with water and sharks under the third window. Which window should Claire jump out of? She should make a torch and jump out of the first window. Snakes are afraid of fire. Claire hits the road. Soon, she notices that an unknown car is following her. She drives off the road and hides in a supermarket. One of these customers stole food. Can you guess who? The old man carries groceries in his hands, and the guy has an empty basket. Meanwhile, the woman leaves the store without a bag or anything in her hands. Therefore, she's probably the thief. Claire goes to the parking lot and sees 4 drivers. Can you spot a beast among them? This one. Take a look at his spooky shadow. Suddenly, the spooky driver grabs Claire and yells,
Give me the diamond!
She pushes him and runs away to the railway station. Claire jumps on a train leaving in a few seconds, but the pursuer jumps on the same train at the very last moment. Claire decides to hide in one of the rail cars. Can you find her? She's on the top shelf. The pursuer finds her, and she runs away from him on the train. Can you spot 10 differences between these 2 railway cars? Here they are. She goes to the nearest police station and tells them about the diamond. The local authorities decide to transfer it to the capital. But all local gangsters are already aware of the stone. How can they move it to the capital city? Claire offered an idea. What did she come up with? They transferred an exact replica of the diamond in a limousine with a great deal of noise, and the original one was secretly transported by an agent. Claire gets a solid reward for the diamond. She throws a fancy party for her friends at her house. Everything goes well. But in the middle of the party, Claire finds out that someone has broken into her safe and stolen a rare ancient scroll. Claire questions 4 suspects: Gerald, Chris, Bianca, and Cheryl. Each swears to have nothing to do with the robbery. Can you guess who the thief is? Gerald is wearing a beautiful sequin jacket, and he dropped a couple of sparkles at the crime scene. Claire gets her scroll back, but Gerald has spilled a drink on it. That's why Claire brings it to Arthur, a chemistry teacher and her old friend. He tries several regions to restore the scroll. Instead, strange runes have appeared on the surface. Can you help them crack this mystery? It's a simple rebus, which means sunflower. Claire decides to check the local sunflower field and leaves right away. And Arthur goes to college because it's time to begin a working day. Soon after that, students find him unconscious in his lab. The police identify 4 suspects: Bob, an English teacher, Tim, the lab assistant, Allison, a student, and Brenda, the cleaning lady. The detective finds a piece of paper near Arthur. Now he knows for sure who attacked the teacher. What about you? The chemistry teacher knows the periodic table very well. He encrypted the criminal's name with the numbers of the elements. So, it was Allison. Meanwhile, Claire explores the sunflower field, but she cannot find anything special. Can you help her spot the clues? Let's take a look at the Scarecrow's hat. It has a fake diamond and an arrow pointing down, so she needs to dig there. Claire decides to book a room in a motel near the field. The manager says that she can choose one of 4 available rooms. Can you help Claire find the best option? There's a rat crawling behind a curtain in the second room. As for the third room, there is a weird red stain on the carpet. And there's a cracked ceiling mirror in the 4th room. So Claire should choose the first option. In the morning, Claire goes to the cafeteria to have breakfast. Can you spot 10 differences between these 2 tables? Here they are. Claire's visiting an archaeological conference. One of her colleagues, Mike, performs an important report. The event is over and Claire heads to the toilet. Suddenly, she finds Mike unconscious on the floor. The detective arrives at the crime scene in 15 minutes. He asks the suspects just one question. "What were you doing within the last 15 minutes?" Claire says, "I called 911 and then went to the bathroom." Paul, the guard, says, "I was greeting the guests and giving them badges at the entrance." Mrs. Smith, a respected archaeologist, says, "I was talking on the phone with my daughter." And Ethan, the event manager, says, "I was talking to the catering company in the dining hall." Who's lying? Paul. The event is over. It's too late to greet the guests. Claire arrives from the conference and finds out that her dog is missing. She walks around the block and questions 3 neighbors. Will says, "Oh man, I'm so sorry. I have a dog too, and it barked strangely an hour ago as if she'd smelled another dog outside the house." Diana says, "I've been afraid of dogs since childhood, so I stay away from them." And Megan says, "I've just returned from a business trip. I have no idea where your dog is." Who's lying? Diana. Take a look at her window. There's a huge dog in her house. Therefore, she lied. Someone stole the pink diamond found by Claire from the museum. Anna, Mia, and Ellie are best friends and professional thieves. They're kept in isolation cells now because the ladies are accused of stealing the diamond. The judge offers them a plea bargain. If one of them confesses and tells all the details, she will be released. Anna says, "I'll never tell you who did it, but it wasn't me." Mia says, "I have no idea what happened to that diamond, but I wasn't there when it was stolen." And Ellie says, "Mia did it. She's a sleepwalker. She woke me up last night and said that she took the diamond." Who's lying? Ellie. The girls are in isolation cells. Therefore, Mia couldn't confess to her. Claire goes to a pizzeria with her friends. Can you guess who escaped from prison? this lady. The next day, Claire receives a pretty bouquet. All of the flowers it has are orchids, except 2. Also, all of the flowers it has are hibiscuses, except 2. And all of the flowers it has are roses, except 2. Can you tell how many flowers the bouquet has? Two flowers, neither of which are orchids, hibiscuses, or roses. Claire takes a couple of group pictures on the street. Then she takes a closer look and freaks out. One of these people is a ghost. Can you spot it too? There he is. This lady's hand passes through him.